Hello everybody, it's a great pleasure for me to be here. I hope that what I'm going to show you can be applied in your realities. What I'm going to tell you about is the application of actionable threat intelligence in Italian critical infrastructure. First of all, I'm Vito Lucatorto and now I live in Italy. I recently changed the company where I work, and this project was done and carried out in the previous company. I'm a cybersecurity engineer and a threat intelligence lead. I'm a co-founder of an independent cybersecurity community called the Cyber Strategy Initiative. Below you can see our logo, and I'm interested in threat intelligence and APT analysis, and I usually try a new cyber offensive and defensive technique. If you want to follow me or our no profits association, please check this link below. Before starting this speech, I give you a very short definition of threat intelligence. Threat intelligence is knowledge that allow you to prevent or mitigate cyber attack. Threat intelligence is the sum of the knowledge of the context, tactic, and resources of the cyber threats. What is the context? Context provides a better understanding of the threats and what it means to your environment. Tactics means knowing how an attacker moves, what skills he has, and what goals he must achieve. Resources is understand how much firepower an attacker has in economic, computational, and human power. GTI, or Cyber Threat Intelligence, can be seen as a circular process. The process starts with an hypothesis, question as I've been compromised, there is an alert in a CM, how can I prevent attack? Or I have read a bulletin of an intelligence report. The second step is to collect data. Reliability data can be found from OSINT, CLOSINT, social media, dark web, Telegram, or simply Googling. After having collected a sufficient amount of data for you, this data must be processed by normalizing them. A fundamental aspect is to understand which data are useful in our context. Imagine a malware campaign involving a compromise of the Swift banking system may be a little significance when you work for an hospital. If the previous two steps have been carried out correctly, analyzing the data means finding answers to the hypothesis. After having formulated a thesis, it is necessary to share this information with the stakeholders. And finally, wait for the feedback. In case of positive or negative outcome, the cycle will have to resume to reformulate a new hypothesis to improve the previous analysis or start another one. Let me show you the difference between the tactical and operational threat intelligence. The tactical threat intelligence focuses on the managing the IOCs, know the TTIP of the attackers. TTIP means tactic, technique, and procedures, and respond directly to threats. The operational threat intelligence deals with ongoing cyber attacks, events, and campaigns, incident response teams insight on attacks, and speed up processes and make informed decisions. What do you think are the outputs of the tactical threat intelligence? All of you will say the IOC. It's simple. IOC are email metadata, domains, URL, financial data as IBAN, number of credit card, file metadata, IP address. These indicators are the technical evidence of possible compromise of a system. It's essential to have a reliable and decontextualized clues or indicators, as they allow you to speed up the process of threat intelligence. Threat intelligence, to be functional and efficient, need to have multiple teams cooperate all together. What do the groups do? Incident response team is the group that is responsible for responding to and eradicating any cyber threats. The real-time security monitoring teams is the group that helps the threat intelligence analyst to integrate feeds and intelligence information into CM and analyze them. The threat hunter team guarantee continuous monitoring and the possibility of using new techniques and monitoring based on the new attacks. And last, cybersecurity device management deals with the management of the security systems. After these 7 theory slides, let's start presenting where we made what I'm about to show you. The company has over 83,000 employees. It's a large corporate group that has 15 companies, and the turnover of 2020 was 10.8 billion. The headquarters is in Rome, and these are the other foreign office in the world. It's a leading company in the rail transport in Italy, and the company moves passengers but also goods, manages all the railway station, some Italian motorways, ferries and road transport. Before starting this project, this is a nice representation of what we found. Chaos, panic. We had various teams producing tons of IOCs. The information traveled by emails, by voice, in front of excellent coffee. There was a basic threat intelligence platform where bulletins were loaded automatically, and the related IOCs ended up in a list to be loaded into the CM. The requests to blocks IOCs were sent via mail or via voice. The threat intelligence platform was the result of the internal development sufficient to fulfill this task. So, one day we ran to the chief information security officer and exclaimed, "Hey man, we have an idea." He answered us in the most classic Italian way. Our idea was to do less better. We have decided to grow and set challenging goals to improve the threat intelligence process. The primary goal was to defend societies as critical. The second is give value to every single IOCs. Was important also reduce the false positive and improve the information sharing and team coordination process. All of this by automating as much possible and defining clear processes. Before embarking on this beautiful journey, we analyzed all the problems we want to solve. You can see them in this timeline. We have identified 6 focal points in our project. Now let's go through them one by one. The first step is to identify the requirements and the gap. A non-standard management of the feed by the various team, sending via mail, chat, voice, a basic and not unified taxonomy. The concept of automated IOC decay is not present. IOC managed in a not harmonious or automated way and led to duplicates with waste of time and computing resources. Management of false positive only after detection. It may happen that in some bulletin or feeds there are clear false positives, and a basic deep threat intelligence platform with integration with the CM, and enrichment of IOCs not present, and last, a malware distribution and the sharing of IOCs. Before choosing a threat intelligence platform, we studied some open source and pay projects. In the end, the shoes fell on the MISP platform because there is the possibility of having a various way of importing data. There is a tag and organization management system. The API are available and well documented, exist, and the IOC decay features, the possibility of using the sightening closely linked to the concept of the decay that we will see shortly. The downside are the lack of the support with SLA, the time-consuming customization, and we had to invent integration system with third part never experienced it. After choosing the threat intelligence platform, we decide to improve it. How can we do it? Creating an automating message import system differentiated by organizations and operational groups. By creating a backward search system with CMs at the time of loading the IOCs, an advanced whitelisting system to avoid false positives, and an automatic tagging system based on the fixed variables or analyzing a natural language, and IOC enrichment systems. As a first step, we coordinated the three teams, anti-malwares, incident response, and threat hunter teams, with the aim of producing a standardized and normalized output according to our schemes. As a second steps, we have created an SFTP server that can accept XML, JSON, PDF, CSV files, and malware samples. So far, with good communication and a simple knowledge of the SFTP server, we have solved two huge problems. So now, team analysis results can flow in a single point as well as the SFTP server. What is now this colorful brain? It's a series, a bash, Python, cron script, and a bit of luck. Automation script take care of extracting malware samples previously uploaded by team from the SFTP server. After this, the big brain starts sending the samples to the various boxes present in the various companies, detonating and executing the samples produced other IOCs that are immediately sent to the protection systems such navigation proxy and anti-spam. All these allow to accelerate the contrast of the possible malware campaign. As an improvement of this project, we are developing a system to be able to distribute the IOCs obtained from the sandbox analysis also on the clients. During the detonation of Sexbox's malware, files containing IOCs produced by the security teams are evaluated by automatic internal whitelist to avoid possible false positives due to errors or oversight. How does the check work? Imagine that an analyst accidentally entered the Google domain in the list of the IOCs. If this domain were considered as malicious and therefore to be blocked, it could generate many false positives and possibly even disservice. This is because if a domain is included in a list of the IOCs, this will be loaded on the CMs automatically to generate alerts and blocked on the protection system, such as navigation proxy, firewall. To differentiate if a domain must be blocked and loaded on the CM, we use the flag present on the MISP called toIDS equal true. So, taking this consideration into account, if a domain is detected with our whitelist, the single domain is set with the flag toIDS equal false, and therefore will not be loaded on the CM and on the protection system. This system thus limits false positive. Of course, it's important to have a constantly update whitelist. The magic continues thanks to the enrichment of the IOCs. Some enrichments we do involve using the voice service, DNS information, SSL certificates, and more. After that, the scripts proceed with an automatic tagging. Tagging an event is a very important phrase because it allows you to run queries in the immediate future, aggregate additional information about the campaign, and filter others. For those unfamiliar with MISP, the platform gives the possibility to add information in the form of tags. Now, imagine that the anti-malware teams have just uploaded on the SFTP server a report relating to the Ursnif malware campaign, and an immediately following one attribute to the APT28. The script interprets the information contained into the report and applies the correct tags previously mapped to the MISP event. We add additional logic based on the tag called only detection. If one event has this type of tag, the IOCs contained in event are sent only for monitoring on the CM, without blocking the IOCs on the perimeter system. This can be useful in the analysis phrase for all those IOCs that can be used in the correlation phrase on CM, such as Tor nodes. At the end of the steps, the brain is concerned with preparing a report where it shares all the information uploaded and summarized. All the IOCs uploaded by the various teams with their sample, their enrichment and controls are automatically uploaded to the MISP. Let me show you how we have developed the engine capable of understanding how to manage IOCs according to our rules. I will show you how we have improved the prevention systems, how we have distributed the IOCs on the security system of the companies, and the sharing with operational groups. We have scheduled some crontab based API queries capable of extracting different IOC lists from the MISP. The first list provides that IOC must be flagged as to ADS equal true. It's the first icon. The only detection tag does not exist, the tag that we have seen before, and they have not decayed and have been checked in the whitelist. In the right section of the slide, you can see the real example of API invocation. When the list is returned, the big brain takes care of processing the list and normalizing it according to the standards of the security system vendors. You know, for example, that some vendors require a different specifications to block some words. For this, we have developed a normalizer. And on the right side, you can see two different ways of uploading URLs to different vendors. After normalizing the data, the IOC lists are sent and uploaded to the perimeter systems using the REST API. We have developed different connectors for the different vendors present in the corporate environment. At the same time, we have exposed the IOC lists on the web servers in such a way to make this list always accessible to the other internal IT and security teams. After telling you about the prevention part, let's move on the detection. Thanks to the IOC list downloaded previously, script can load this list on the CM in the way. In the CM, the data is enriched with context information deriving from the MISP, and the metadata is normalized. Also in this case, we have scheduled an API queries through crontab. The query is constructed in such a way as to return all the IOCs with flag to ADS equal true, the tag only detection false, they are not decayed, and the whitelist is verified. The IOC are then sent to the CM. Now let's see what's happened when an IOC loaded on the CM is detected while a client do a web browsing. The client in question has just visited the domain circled in red. The navigation log is sent to the CM, and after a few moments the CM creates an incident on the centralized GRC system where it shows the information taken from the navigation log. Addiction context information is entered, such as the name of campaign, source of the origin of the IOC, type of the threats, and the date of the first discovery of the threat. The additional information is marked in yellow. We then come to the retraction phrase. This phrase is closely linked to the concept of the decay that we will see shortly. We introduce the concept of sightening. Sightening is a collaborative system used within the MISP. The basic idea is to have a community connected between multiple MISP instances and to have users vote through 3 buttons if an IOC is reliable, if an IOC is doubtful, or is a false positive. So we broke this concept that the sightening can be done by a user, and we applied it to an automatic system. In this case, when an IOC is detected in a CM, CM invokes the MISP cycling function via API. We use this command not to improve the reliability of concept of the IOCs, but to update the decay time. Let's try to explain the detection flow against from CM symbol. So remember, the only condition for which an incident can be created are summarized in the yellow box. Flag to yes must be true, only detection tag must not exist, and the IOC must not be decayed, and whitelist will check. The alert will then be managed by the incident response team in SOC, and when the alert is triggered, the CM report IOC sightening to the MISP. From the technical point of view, what's happened? The alert generates an incident within the GRC, which will provide for management according to the relevant procedures in order to verify impact and proceed to remediation. The CM has been configured to invoke the MISP API in order to report the sightening of the IOC. Near the API icon, you can see the original API used. From the MISP side, we will then have an event that will contain the attributes, including the malicious URL. You can see how under the heading sightening, there is a graph showing the number of sightings related to the events in general, and then another graph near the single IOC indicating 5 sightings. In addition, sorry, a representation of the temporal trends of sightening is also available, again at the event level. Let's face it, we love having IOC like diamonds. How many times do you hear that companies collect millions of IOC, tons of the URL, hashes, EPs without a context? When we produce or insert IOCs into our system, we have to ask ourselves a few questions. When an IOC is to be considered expired, how can we avoid overloading our defense or detection systems? Why collect 100 billion IOCs without being aware of what they are and what they indicate? Let's take a practical example. Let's imagine that the URL has been entered in our MISP today. With the standard decay algorithm, in 13 days the URL will be considered expired. This is a simple case. The second case, on the other hand, is this. The the URL we had previously uploaded is detected after 10 days in the CM. The automatism starts the cycling process. This change the decay score. Looking at the timeline, at time t0 is when we load the URL into the CM, into the MISP, sorry. At time t0 plus x is the time it took before being cited. T1 is the old decay time. At T1 plus x is the updated decay time. In conclusion, the expire time for our URL will be not more than 13 days, but 13 days plus 10 days. Therefore, on the 40th day, the decay of the IOCs is propagated on all previously connected system, providing an always updated list of the IOCs. Thanks to the integrations, we update the block list on the prevention device, both on the detection component and therefore on the SIM side. Furthermore, automatic mails have been defined to internal teams that have access to the previously introduced web service. To allow all this, it was necessary to carry out various phases of study and research. Above all, collaboration between people capable of creating this bridge between management processes of completely different systems. Speaking on the future scenarios, the main idea is always to go to the Mars. Improve the process, improve yourself, save the world, and more. Practically speaking, the next step in the pipeline are to create dashboards and an advanced reporting system to top management. A very interesting integration is to develop an authorization system based on the TLP standard. The next step is to improve the prioritization of incidents. Currently, all incidents created in the GRC have the same priority level. In near future, no more. Due to the fragmentation of the societies, we are still slow to disseminate information as soon as possible. And lastly, we are working on integration system with the various cloud provider. That's all, folk. It was a real pleasure for me to share my experience. I hope it can help you and can motivate you to be creative and collaborative. These are my personal contacts and those of no profit association. The photo instead are the place where I live, called Apulia. If you pass by here, feel free to contact me to let us you explore this magic land together. Thank you.